The GST Council is meeting today for the third time since the rollout of the new tax regime. Hyderabad is the venue, and what's on the agenda? Well, tax rates on over 70 manufacturing goods and over 20 services could come under review in today's meeting. The top focus will be on the proposed higher cess on luxury cars. In fact, the cess will only impact luxury cars and SUVs, but also impact mid-size cars. So the council could create a different category for mid-size cars and not tax them at higher rates. We also understand from sources that this higher cess could be postponed after the coming festive season. CNBC-TV18's Timsy Jaipuria is in Hyderabad tracking that meeting, and she spoke to a whole host of state finance ministers and representatives to gauge what we can expect today.
GSTN has not done as well as we expected it to, or we were made to believe. So I think there are glitches. Some parts of those are really glitches that are in transition, so transitory phase. But I think it goes beyond that as well. So this is something that will come up for discussion today, and most state finance ministers would share their experiences. Officers must have discussed this yesterday. It will come up for discussion, and we'll try and find a way out.
So what about car cess? Car cess was decided to be hiked from 15 to 25 last meeting, but now we need to see what quantum of cess is actually levied on luxury cars. So what is the view?
Earlier what was done was to enable the thing. Today a view will be taken on it in the meeting, and by the end of the day we'll see at what rate exactly. The earlier hike was an enabling hike. It was not an actual hike.
Yes. So what about, there's also a talk that mid-size cars should be a separate category altogether, because a lot of cars are coming in the hiked cess which are not actually luxury cars.
So all that will come up for discussion. I think we'll have to look at the data that's coming. We'll ask the officers to prepare some numbers on that. That will be tabled today. Once that is done, then we can take a view on it.
So handicrafts is again an issue. Your state has a lot of handicraft contribution. Do you think they are taxed at a too high rate?
Handicrafts is a huge issue, and J&K piloted the whole handicrafts thing. I think other states have pitched in, be it Andhra, be it Gujarat and others, even UP. We have an agenda item on this which will actually exempt the small artisan and trader from registration hassles, and virtually you're saying really it's an IGST free kind of regime. So a decision on handicrafts is expected today.
So what about branded, non-branded food items? That is also listed on the agenda. People are deregistering themselves to keep them away from GST.
I know all this is coming up, and we earlier last time when rate hikes had kind of been done, we had postponed it to form some criteria. I think some of that we put up today. We'll see if the transparent criteria. One would not want to go individually by items, because that's a lot of discretion. If you can see some criteria emerge, then automatically it will follow. But I think the biggest items today should be the fact that there's a first meeting after the returns have been filed.
Yes.
So operational issues and also revenue. I think we've done very, very well in revenue. Almost all states barring a few. Nationally also the numbers are looking very good. So the big numbers are looking very good. So the big concern that states had, I think, should have been addressed today by the fact that revenue is not a consideration, which may also lead you to discuss that are the rates too high. Because what's happened is these numbers, these tax numbers, have come in when the GDP growth is very slow. So you're not really talking of buoyancy as an element. You're talking of elasticity as an element and distribution. I think that may trigger a debate on if the rates are too high and do we need to look at these rates subsequently, not in terms of specific commodities, but the rate bands. I think that's where the focus of the meeting should lie today.
So can we look at a downward revision of the rate band soon? Maybe bringing it down from 4 to 3?
No, honestly, I wouldn't do that right now. But I think it's in about 6 to 8 months' time we should look at it, because this year we have only 11 months. Next year, perhaps we can do it, and I think something should be left for the Union Minister's budget.
GSTN is affecting not only the administration, which we can manage, even the revenues part we can somehow manage, but it is affecting the taxpayers, and a large number of taxpayers. It is not taking returns, filing, overloaded. Oftentimes the system is down. As a result, genuine willing taxpayers are put to great difficulty, and this is affecting them, the taxpayer, as well as it is affecting the administration and the revenues also. So GSTN is a major issue from both sides. Whatever preparedness was promised we don't see that. Well, when you roll out such a massive system, we expect there will be hiccups. That's not the issue. But the response hasn't been up to the mark of trying to tackle issues and communicate those issues back to the states or to the taxpayers. So the response part, we don't so much, the grouse is not on the errors, but on the response part and the lack of response. So that will, we intend to raise it during this meeting today.
So what about cars? Car cess is something that we saw was there in the last meeting. Also, there was a decision to hike the cess from 15 to 25. And this time, whether this cess will be actually made applicable or not is what we are looking at. What is the issue, if you can explain, and what is going to come up?
So the issue on the table is that compared to the cumulative taxes before GST, you know, there are various taxes, excise, VAT, cess, vagera, vagera, NCCD, and all those. So if you add up all the taxes that were there before GST, subsequent to introduction of GST, those taxes apparently have come down. So some of it has been passed on to the consumer, the buyers, but some of it has not been passed on to the consumer. So the view is that if it has not been fully passed on to the consumer, then it is better to reinstate the rate that was there earlier. Because if companies are retaining a margin of the tax reduction and not passing on the entire margin, then there is no justification for leaving things as they are. So that is the issue on the table.
GST has done a wonderful job so far, that almost more than 78% dealers have been able to file their return. And in Haryana, the progress had been even better. So whatever troubles that whatever problems that we are seeing today, but not that they were not anticipated. These are the teething troubles every transition has to face. And I believe that the whole infrastructure and architecture of GSTN is capable to withhold such pressures and should be able to withstand the requirement or demands of the dealers and the overall implementation of GST as soon as possible. So I think that we must appreciate that we have a tendency in India to file our returns at the last stage, and which the government had been from time to time requesting and suggesting the dealers to please do the needful at appropriate time and go for vacations at the last stage. So with these things in mind, I think that whatever problems that have come up, they are noted and they must be solved. Every effort should be made to solve them, and that is what the council is going to look into today and address those issues.
So what about car cess? Car cess was taken up last time also. There's a union cabinet go ahead also to hike the cess. But there is a concern that mid-segment cars should be in a separate category. What is the view that you have?
See, ideally we all believe that ultimately in the long run, GST, the ideal GST and the best GST is the single rate tax structure across the country. Now, since India is implementing GST for the first time, and it is the beginning stage, and a lot of diversity is being converged into this tax regime that we've been able to work out. As far as the compensation cess is concerned, we try to cap it to keep the prices low and to keep the slab low. But certain anomalies got created in the high-end luxury car segment. So it was felt by the GST Council to look into such anomalies whereby very, very expensive cars, they became cheaper than in the pre-GST regime. So this anomaly needed to be addressed at this stage.
लग्जरी कार बहुत बड़ी कंपनी वाले बहुत बड़े लोग ही उसका उपयोग करते हैं, तो आम आदमी जो कार परचेस करता है उसका उपयोग करता है अपने काम के लिए, अपने परिवार के लिए, उसके पर कम टैक्स लागत हो और महंगी कारों पर ज़्यादा टैक्स लगे, ये हम सोच रहे हैं।
सर, यानी हाइब्रिड कार पे टैक्स को कम करने का विचार है?
नहीं, वो तो हो गया, वो जो करना था वो हो गया। और ये सेस के बारे में भी है, तो सेस जो लगाना है वो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट और काउंसिल साथ में बैठ के तय करेंगे।
सर, गुजरात के लेके कुछ कमोडिटीज़ का इशू है, हैंडीक्राफ्ट का इशू है, टेक्सटाइल का इशू है, आपको क्या लगता है इन पे टैक्स रेट कम होना चाहिए?
टेक्सटाइल का तो जो सबसे पहले बात आई थी वो तो हमारी काउंसिल की अगली मीटिंग में हमने उसको पूर्ण कर दिया। जो लेबर वर्क है टेक्सटाइल में उसको भी ज़्यादा टैक्स लगता था, तो लाखों लोग जो उसके जॉब वर्क में जुड़े हैं, उसके लेबर वर्क में जुड़े हैं, उनकी मांग को लेते हुए हमने गुजरात की ओर से काउंसिल में हमारा केस रखा था और राज्य ने भी सपोर्ट किया। और जो जॉब वर्क होता है, जो लेबर वर्क होता है, उसके पर टैक्स हमने आगे से ही घटा दिया है, तो अब उसका कोई, इसके बारे में कोई प्रश्न नहीं है।
I think it is a continuous process. In any software industry, the upgradation of software and coping with the problem is an issue, and that will be sorted out in accordance with the time.
So what about cars? The car cess is something that everyone, the entire car industry, entire auto industry has been looking forward to, and tomorrow is going to be a crucial meeting regarding the car cess. Last meeting saw a decision that the cess should be increased from 15% to 25% of an overall cap. Do you still feel that this needs to be hiked on luxury cars from 15% to 25%? And there are also talks that there should be another category for mid-segment cars to try and keep them away from the highest cap of cess. What is your view?
You are right about, as I said, that by the word itself, you cannot classify the entire segment like car. Car cannot be termed as, every car cannot be termed as luxury, right from Alto to Mercedes. All cars are not luxury. The same I was talking about marble. Marble does not mean luxury. So I believe there should be classification like mid-segment, and that will be, I think, considered tomorrow in the GST Council meeting.
Well, we'll be keeping track of that all-important GST meeting in Hyderabad, and stay tuned to CNBC-TV18 for all of the updates. But moving on to the next story from the auto space, where go green or get bulldozed, that's the word from Road Transport Minister Nitin Gadkari. His warning to India's top automakers was stern: look for alternatives to petrol and diesel or get left behind. Now, these comments have left the industry confused and concerned. While automakers say that electric mobility is a bet that they will make, they caution it has to be one that is calibrated, keeping the market reality in mind. While there is merit in moving towards cleaner technology, the government's bluster is causing nervousness all around.
आप बार बार बोलते हैं कि पॉलिसी क्लियर होनी चाहिए। बहुत क्लियर पॉलिसी है कि पेट्रोल डीजल बनाने वालों का बैंड बाजा बजाना, ये मेरे मन में इसमें कोई कंफ्यूजन नहीं है।
Road Transport Minister Nitin Gadkari fired straight from the hip at the auto industry's annual convention in New Delhi, and he did not pull his punches.
और मैं तो ये करने वाला हूँ, either you like it, may not like it. मैं आपको पूछने वाला नहीं हूँ, मैं बुलडोज करने वाला हूँ। मैं ये पोल्यूशन के लिए, इंपोर्ट के लिए, मेरी आइडिया बहुत साफ है।
The minister's warning to bulldoze ahead with the government's EV mission has pushed industry into a corner. While acknowledging the need to move towards clean tech, automakers say the government should be tech agnostic and should let the market determine what bets to make. The move towards electrification does raise legitimate issues. The first is about affordability.
Look, challenges of various kinds, we can't even visualize all the challenges. The challenge is of having an affordable car which will be acceptable to the customers.
I have not the luxury of a shelf. I can actually pick and choose some globally applied technologies already. Because otherwise I will actually price myself or cost myself in
out
the
of the
first
market.
instance, out of the market. So we need some time to adapt.
Apart from affordability, India also lags behind on key infrastructure like charging stations, among others. And all this is not lost on Motown.
First infrastructure is, suppliers, battery manufacturing facilities in India, then charging infrastructure in, all across India. So That is also very, very important, because if you don't have that infrastructure, you know, all this is on PowerPoint.
The only thing the industry has said all along is that whatever has to be done, we need to be told in advance, and there should not be any tinkering that happens with that for a variety of reasons, and the minister also agrees with that.
You really got to take the bull by the horn. You need to take a lot of dynamic concrete steps, whether in terms of import duty, whether in terms of clearly in terms of other state duties, whether in terms of taxes, and whether in terms of infrastructure. So once you do those things, then it starts accelerating. It becomes a catalyst.
It's no secret that pollution in our cities is reaching alarming levels. But perhaps a sledgehammer approach to electrification will lead to more unintended consequences for a high-growth sector that employs lakhs of people. Bureau Report, CNBC-TV18.